Ali Drew for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by Frank Smith here in Vegas. It is Canelo Triple G, the trilogy. How good is it to be here?
Yeah, great. It's a fight week in Las Vegas. You know, a normal fight week's great, but a fight of this scale, you know, for years and years we've been building up, and to be promoting this rematch at Matchroom is exciting. Looking forward to it.
It's been a long time coming. 4 years it's been talked about. The fact that it's here, how important is this fight that this happens? Based on the fact that we know what happened in the decisions, the previous two fights, controversial. How important is this fight?
100%. I think they both got a point to prove. You know, Dimitri Bivol's coming off the back of, Canelo's coming off the back of the Dimitri Bivol fight as well. You know, he'll want to get back in there with a big performance. Gennady Golovkin, you know, people talking about, is this the end for Gennady Golovkin? He's still a 160-pound champion. You know, I think he's still got a lot left after the sport. I know he's 40, I think he's 40 years old, but, you know, and I think this fight, although it's taken a bit longer than it maybe should have done, I think it's built up to a major occasion, and, you know, I think we're going to see a great fight on Saturday.
Do you think that this is a good time to have this fight? You're saying it took longer than it should, but do you think it's a good time for both fighters to be having this fight? Yeah,
look, I think maybe before, when Canelo was on that run pre the Bivol fight, people maybe would have questioned, is this the right for Golovkin? But people now questioning, saying, oh, it's Canelo, you know. And I think that fight against Dimitri Bivol, we saw the best of Dimitri Bivol, and maybe we didn't see the complete best of Canelo. And even Gennady Golovkin in his fight against Murata, you know, the earlier rounds were tough for him. But, you know, I think these two, there's so much between the two of them where we're just going to, I don't think there's a stoppage. I think it goes 12 rounds. I think it's going to be a war.
Canelo is saying that he thinks and wants to get the stoppage. He doesn't think it'll go the distance. Do you think that, in terms of, I've not heard that Triple G is saying that it won't go the distance, but based on the previous results, surely in their minds they both want the stoppage, just so there's no conversation about if the decision is correct? Yeah,
but I just think the two of them both granite, like hard meant, like they're going to go for it. And you know, Gennady's never been stopped. Canelo's never been stopped. I don't personally see it here. I just see an even better version of the other two fights we've seen.
And do you think that the decision is going to be clearer this time? Do you think it's going to be different in the fight, that we're going to have a clear winner?
Yeah, look, I think it will be close again.
But I don't want any more controversy.
No. Maybe we do four. Maybe we do a fourth one. No. But I think, you know, I think both of them have got attributes that are going to play. You know, Gennady's obviously coming up. He's got that 8 pounds extra. We saw maybe when he was weighing in at 160, he may be finding it tougher as he's getting older. How's that going to help him coming into this fight? You know, Canelo coming back to his more natural weight at 168. You know, so I think both guys have got things that are going to play into it. And, you know, I just like to sit there. I'm not very good at scoring fights. I'll just sit there and watch, and I want a great fight, and I think we're going to see a great fight. How close it is, you know, like you say, hopefully sometimes you have a clearer winner, but I think this is going to be back and forth throughout.
Well, hopefully it lives up to the expectations that's been talked about for so long.
Yeah, 100%. I can't see any other way, especially because of I don't know whether it's hate or spite or whatever it is between the two of them. There's something between the two of them. You don't get it with every fight. We've got it here. And there's a lot of pride as well between the two of them.
Now, moving away from this week, there's been a lot of talk about the upcoming fight between Eubank Jr, Conor Benn. It was off the other day. Eubank Sr said he'd pulled him out, but apparently that isn't the case. You're quite involved in this fight, so you're probably a good person to ask. What is the latest with that? All going ahead and all fine?
It's all going ahead. I think it's 24 days to go. Eubank Jr posted earlier. Everything's set as normal. You know, Eubank Sr may have those opinions they may be his opinions of the fight, but ultimately the fight's with Eubank Jr, and, you know, we're all set and ready to go. I think he's been training very hard. He's looked great from what I hear. They don't tell me much. No one tells me much on either side. I'm sort of in the middle, lost in the middle, but, you know, everything's going ahead. No changes, and we're all good. Yeah,
because this you are very involved in this fight. Have you found it difficult when it was being talked about being made? Did you find that difficult? And no one's telling you anything. Are you finding it hard, this build-up?
No, do you know in the build-up, I was on phone calls. It took 5-6 weeks of like late night calls. Me and Calla was dealing with Eubank. We're dealing with Conor Benn. You know, and there's lots of things. There's a lot of, not ego, but a lot of pride at stake. You know, you've got the history between the dads, and my girlfriend was sitting there and during some of the calls looking at me saying, what are you saying? And I was just like, you got to say some things, you know. And but I think for me, I'm trying to stay a bit out of it now, and I'm like, I haven't watched much of the build-up stuff because I think it's better that I don't know anything about anyone and just get on with it. And on the night, just sit there sort of blankly and just don't have any facial expressions whatsoever.
Yeah, it must be difficult for you. Obviously, you're more involved than other people at Matchroom, so it is difficult. Do you think that now it's just going to be smooth sailing for that fight, or are we still going to get some up and downs in the build-up?
I think every major fight, you have fun and games along the way. It's just natural. Like, it wouldn't be a big fight without it. So I expect there to be some more, and I'll try and, drive my way through the middle of it and stay out of any trouble at home or at work. But I think we're definitely going to see some interesting things over the next few weeks. But the fight happens. It's too big not to happen. And I think we're going to be good and see a great night on October 8th.
Do you think that Chris Eubank Sr. is going to be in the corner and involved? Chris Jr. wants him there, but at the moment he said he hasn't spoken to him about it.
Who knows? Who knows? We've seen him in the past in the corner. I think Nigel's very involved in the camp with Conor. I think it's important for both guys, because although they've been in big fights, Chris more than Conor, this is going to be pressure like nothing else they've ever seen. The media obligations, everything as we get to fight week, it's going to be huge. And I think that's going to be a bit of a shock for them. So I think it's important to have both their dads around, because they've been through that at the highest level. 18 million viewers they had when they originally fought. So I think that's why Chris Jr. wants him as part of it. And I think it's an important part for both their families. It's an important night for both their families. So I don't know. Let's see. Again, I'm staying out of it, and if he's in the corner, I'm sure it'll be some great corner work.
I mean, hopefully he will, because the reason the fight is happening is because of the dads. This is the reason that this is happening. Otherwise, they're different weights, so this fight wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for the dads.
Yeah, 100%. That's what's got us to this point. But at the same time, they've both done a lot of work. They've both grown their profiles and themselves into the position that makes it, if both of them were irrelevant, you wouldn't be seeing this. So they've both done a lot of work themselves. So, sometimes ultimately it's always going to get a bit overshadowed by the dads, because that's why we're here. But you can't take away from what they've both done to get it to that point as well.
Right, let's move to AJ, Fury, and all the talk going around that. The latest is December 3rd. Matchroom have said, yeah, agreed, that's what's happening. You're waiting for Queensbury. Have you heard anything yet?
I think we're just waiting for a contract now. So, look, everyone's got the intention of making the fight happen. I think I'm more confident now than we've ever been, but we've been down this road so many times. And until it's signed, you can never be 100% sure. But the key is we've all got the intention. The broadcaster's going to start talking and see how it plays out.
Is this fight up there with one of the most stressful fights to try and make out of all the fights that you've made?
I think it's boxing itself is stressful. Any fight is stressful. Any fight comes with difficulties. But when two people want it, it becomes a bit easier, because ultimately you find your way through the majority of little things. It's always little things as well, menial things that people would never think of that stand in the way of big fights. So I feel that, we had a good meeting with George Warren the other day, and with Jeremy Cogill from Top Rank, and we, albeit the internet, the video, the interviews, what people say about each other, we sit down with big boys. We're not like, it's not a playground. We don't sit there and bicker. The aim is everyone just wants to do good business, and I think we'll all work together. If we can get it signed and get it over the line, I think everything else should be plain sailing. But like I say, these big fights like this, like Eubank Benn, there's always going to be moments where you go, oh, another problem, but that's part and parcel of it.
But you're quite confident in thinking by the end of the year we're going to have that fight? How confident? Give me a percentage.
Personally? No, because I think if you come out and be like 80%, everyone like, you said it was 8, I sort of think like 50-50. Because there's still a lot of work to be done to get to that point. There's still the discussions with broadcasters. But as I go back to the point, we've all got the good intentions to try and make it happen. And maybe that hasn't always been there in the past, because there's been other things going on.
Well, fingers crossed, and I'll let you. I think you've got a few more bits of media to do, but enjoy the week, and also I'll speak to you before, but enjoy the build up to Eubank Benn.
No, I'm not. I might not go to any fight week events. I'm staying out of the way.
Thanks, Frank.